Hi, fourth grade. It's Miss Reader, and I will be doing your reading lesson for the week. So, what we are going to do every single week with reading is we are going to start out with a focus board of all the skills that we will be talking about and focusing on, and you will see these every single week. We're also going to be doing reading in groups or week groups of 2. So, for every 2 weeks, we're kind of going to focus on the same story, the same skills, but just adding more as the week goes on. So to start out, we're going to talk about this big idea. So this is what we're going to be using for the whole unit. So the big idea is, how can a challenge bring out our best? So we're going to be going over different stories that go along with challenges people might face and how we can overcome those. The essential question for these 2 weeks is, how do people respond to natural disasters? So we're going to be learning about natural disasters through expository text. So expository text is a nonfiction story that gives information and facts about real topics. So the story that we are going to read is going to be an expository text. So I'm going to start out with that and kind of explain what that is. So expository text, like I said, is nonfiction, which means it is real, and it's informational text that explains a topic to the reader. So the topic will focus on a real person, event, place, or thing, and the author's purpose is to inform us through facts and details. So like I said, this week we're going to be talking about informational text about natural disasters. So the story that we're going to read, you can see up here in the corner, is going to be about earthquakes. So as we go through, we're going to have different information about expository text through this whole 2 weeks. So one thing that expository text has is things called text features, and text features help us to understand the information given to us and make it more interesting and fun to read. So here are some examples of what text features are. So you guys might see these in newspapers or magazines or stories or articles that help you to go along with the informational text so that we understand it better. So here are some examples. First is bold text. So you can see that this is bolded, meaning it's darker. Those usually are pointing out things that the author wants us to really focus on, something that's important. They also use italics, which is kind of the slanted font. Highlighted text, so you might see this in your reading book or your math book. Anything that's highlighted is usually like a vocabulary word, or also colored text. Authors also use graphics, which are pictures, photos or illustrations to help us to understand what they're talking about and the ideas. They might use bullet points to go through different information. Each of the text is separated through titles, subtitles, headings, and subheadings. So titles, you guys know, that would be like your title of your story. Subtitles are different information throughout the story. And then headings are how they organize the information. So one heading might be about how earthquakes happen. And all that information in that paragraph would be about how earthquakes happen. Then the next heading could be where they happen, and all the information underneath that would be about where they're happening. We also have things like table of contents, which tell you where certain parts of information are. There are captions, diagrams, and maps. So a caption is words explaining what's going on in a picture. A diagram would be a picture, and then it's labeled different parts. So you can see right here, there's a diagram of a frog, and it's got all of its different parts labeled: its eyes, back, hind legs, and front legs, and then also maps. Another example of text features would be tables, charts, and graphs. So different tables that might give us information. Usually it's number-based. So if we were looking at the earthquakes, like how many earthquakes happen throughout the year, that could be something that could be in a table or a graph. And then last, the glossary. Glossary is where all of the vocab words or important words in the story are defined. So you can see here, this one looks like about space. So it defines Saturn, it defines space, a star, and the sun. And here is an example of text features in our actual book. So this is going to be a page from your reading story for the week. So right here, you can see here's an example of a heading. Whose fault is it? It talks about fault lines. Here is a picture that shows what is happening when an earthquake happens, a caption that explains this picture, and then also some examples of bold and highlighted text. So severe destruction, those are vocab words. So they wanted to highlight those and bold them so that we know they are important. Expository text is also broken up into different types of text structure. So what a text structure is how the author organizes the text. So we, this week, are going to be talking about comparing and contrasting text structure. So this type of text structure shows how things are alike and how they are different. When you compare, you are telling how things are alike. So the author might use words like the same, both, and like to show how things are similar. When you're contrasting, you're showing how things are different. So the author might use words like neither, however, unlike, or instead. So as we go through, we're going to be doing different activities, helping you guys to understand comparing and contrasting, but also making sure that we're seeing that in the text. Okay, so now that we've talked about text structure and expository text, it's time to actually get into the information for this week. So our essential question, like I said earlier, is how do people respond to natural disasters? So natural disasters are events such as floods, earthquakes, or hurricanes that can cause a great deal of damage and loss and can cause a crisis. So as you can see in this picture, it looks like there's a wildfire going on, which would classify as a natural disaster. So you can see here, people responding might be our first responders. So people like firefighters or EMTs who would drive ambulances, or police officers who would help to block off the area. Things like that are people responding to natural disasters. But not only are those people responding, the people who are living here also have to respond in regards to making sure they're safe. What happens to if maybe where they live does not survive this. So there's all sorts of different ways that people respond to natural disasters. We are also going to be going through and talking about what you could do to help after a natural disaster. So first, before we talk about that, we're going to move on. We have a little video here that's going to talk to you about this essential question.
How do people respond to natural disasters? A natural disaster can strike at any time. Being prepared and knowing how to respond can help keep communities safe. When a forest fire breaks out, firefighters have to respond quickly to get it under control. They work together to keep the fire from spreading to people's homes. Firefighters are first responders, brave people who arrive first on the scene to assess and control further damage. All kinds of natural disasters need first responders. Blizzards, tornadoes, floods, and earthquakes. First responders need to know about the dangers they might face when responding to a natural disaster. Training and experience help them to be prepared for any surprises nature might bring.
Okay, so that kind of gave you guys a little bit more information about first responders and how natural disasters, what is going on. So as we go through these next 2 weeks with this reading, we will be talking more about that. And like I said, our story for the week is going to be about earthquakes, so how people respond to earthquakes. So what you guys are going to do at one point today, is you will respond to a question on Google Classroom of how you think you could help after a natural disaster. So you might not be at this age, you're 9-10 years old. Obviously, you're not old enough to be a firefighter or an EMT or a police officer, but you can help out after natural disasters. So you were going to write me 4 sentences on Google Classroom about how you could help after a natural disaster. Also, later in the week, we are going to be doing some more work with comparing and contrasting. So I'm going to go through that right now and kind of show you guys what you will be doing. So later on in the week, like I said, you are going to be getting this assignment. It's going to pop up like this on Google Slides. You're going to read these two passages. They're about hurricanes. So you'll read this passage and then you'll read this passage. They're two different, technically articles. So they're written by two different people. So first you're going to read the two passages, and then you're going to use those passages to help you answer questions. So the questions are going to go through and kind of compare and contrast the two passages. So first question is, list 3 sentences or ideas that were mentioned in both. So you're going to find 3 things that they talked about in both passages. Next, you're going to list 2 ideas that were just in how and where hurricanes form, and then you're going to list 2 ideas that were just in hurricanes safe from distraction. So that's your contrasting part. You're finding what's different. Then you're going to answer these 2 questions. Which passage gives you more details about how to stay safe in a hurricane? And then which passage do you think gave you the most useful information? And remember, when we're using these, I made them pink so that you just click and then you can type into these boxes to answer. Make sure we answer in complete sentences. That last page is going to be a Venn diagram. So Venn diagrams help us to see what is in one story, what's in another, and then what's in both. So what you're going to do is you're going to take these 6 statements and you're going to write the number in the corresponding box. So this one right here is going to be just in how and where hurricanes form. If you're going to type the number in this box, it means it's just in hurricanes staying safe from destruction. And if you're going to type the box in the middle, that is where they overlap. It's what is in both stories. So if I were to say I had a 7 here, just so I'm not giving you guys the answers, and it is in both of the stories, I would just type the number 7 here, showing that statement is going to be in both stories. Okay, 4th grade. So as I go through this, if you guys have any questions, make sure you refer back to any of these slides. Make sure you refer back to the poster board or to this video just so you guys can help. It would probably be best if you guys watch this video a couple times just so you're getting used to these different words. And good luck.